And we're back. Did you miss me? Of course you did. Am I still like I'm going to play golf? Yes, I do. Am I going to play golf? No, I'm not. What I am going to do is read you some of my book, Almost Odis, by me, Dusty Thompson, says right there. Go buy your copy on Amazon. And while you're at it, subscribe to my channel below so you can get a little bit of me all throughout the week. And who doesn't want a little bit of me during the week? Everyone wants a little bit of Dusty. It's true. We're on page 275. The blog dated Tuesday, October the 8th, 2013. Have catheter, will remove it. Ew, but also, yeah, it happened. The dad and I celebrated our second anniversary last month. I can't believe it's been 2 years since he came plowing into my life and home with his noises, smells, and various old man accoutrements. It's an unhappy coincidence he was back in the hospital this week, just like this time last year. He has had 4 different outpatient procedures on his butt, if you must know, and the 3 resurgeries, if that is a word, are due to his refusal to believe a doctor would know about post-surgery care. You know, because the dad has 4 whole hours of college credit and the MD has a measly 16 years of schooling. The biggest problem is that the dad is a man of extremes. He is either not interested or all in. There is no gray area for this one. He either wants a 32-pound steak or none. He wants a vat of ice cream as big as his recliner or none. He asked if I would bring him some gum as the medicine he takes makes his mouth taste funny. I took him a double pack of Freedent, the gum preferred by denture wearers, and he chewed 32 pieces of gum in less than 12 hours. When he called and asked for more, and I questioned how one would decimate a pack of gum in such a small amount of time, he got mad, called me a butt, and hung up on me. Quelle surprise, you may say? Well, then you haven't been paying attention or reading this book. His vacation, which is what we normally call the time when a relative is housed in a state-run facility from which they aren't allowed to leave when the mood strikes them, was spent in the hospital this past week. They are observing him and trying to figure out the cause of the infection at the surgery site. I personally think they are observing the only patient who removed their catheter with a crochet needle. Yes, you read that correctly. And then he handed it to me. I still have no words, and this was 7 years ago. I don't want to go into the details, and I honestly don't believe what he had tried to describe. All I know is he had the catheter. When he came home, and about an hour after I left him in his room, he walked into the den, handed me the catheter, and reported he had removed it using his smallest crochet needle. I was too horrified to do anything but stare at the used catheter laid on the arm of my leather sofa. So I tattled to his care team about the self-removed catheter, as well as his refusal to soak his wound every day for 10 minutes. His solution to this advice was to not soak it for 5 days, then soak it for 60 minutes on the 6th day. He was actually surprised this didn't work. I reported the behavior to his doctor and nurses, so we all know the reasons behind the infection, but the nurses didn't want to believe a patient would ignore doctor's orders and then lie about it, so they're getting to spend some quality time with the wildebeest in the hospital gown, which is what he looks and sounds like when dozing. They're trying to figure out what the issue might be, because I guess ornery isn't a medical diagnosis. He is unsurprisingly unhappy about being locked up and has reverted to creating prison stories concerning their attempts to starve me or poke me to death. Although I will say, when I snuck a chicken nugget Happy Meal past the nurses, he was the happiest boy on the floor, do you hear me? He almost hugged me. Almost. But he caught himself and instead shook my hand with more emotion than I expected, seeing as how the nuggets only numbered 4, not 6. He doesn't like visitors, he says, but what he really means is he doesn't like to ask anyone to visit. Fortunately, he is housed at the hospital where I work, so I can see him more often than normal, although I try to limit my visits as he doesn't want to be awakened when slumbering, and the clinical staff get nervous when they see me coming, as my previous visits to the wards or when I was acting associate director and we were in the midst of our accreditation review. I have delivered puzzle books, electronic solitaire, peanuts, mystery novels, and contraband Coke Zero. I have regaled him with tales of my birthday weekend to Hearst Castle in Carmel, where he was more impressed with the fact Clint Eastwood lives there than the pictures of William Randolph's gauche interiors or the designer duds I got for 75% off in the bargain basement of J. Alexander Khakis, the most wonderful men's store in all of America. And I am not exaggerating when I say that. J. Alexander Khakis in Carmel by the Sea, California. It's awesome. You should go there right now. They have fabulous things. It's the only store in my whole life that I liked every outfit they had in the window and wanted to buy them all. They were just way too expensive, so I just bought the one. There's a little bit of note about Donald Trump being tacky, but I'm not going to go into that. So here we are 2 years later, and he's again in the hospital, and if geriatrics tells us anything, he will only get worse. He has improved in his outlook, but it is only noticeable to me. He is still somewhat depressed, just perkier about it, thank you Zoloft. He is still afraid of leaving the house without me, but is still too proud to ask me to go with him. Instead, he demands. And I pretend I don't notice the false bravado, and I don't see the evidence of the scared man who is truly without his own home and uneasy about having to depend on the one child he has admitted he didn't treat very well. As much as I complain, I have missed him this week, and not just because I don't like making my own coffee in the morning. I really don't like making my own coffee. I miss someone waiting for me when I get home who is truly glad to see me and to talk, even if for a few minutes over something as mundane as a funny video or a show about ancient aliens. I still watch that show. It's really good. Thank goodness that guy's hair is a little more in control. He looks crazy. I never thought I would actually miss the old grouch, but I do, and the thought he might one day be gone is something I just can't process right now. I am teary-eyed as I type this, and it is as surprising to me as it would be to him. And we'll leave you there and see you next time. Thanks.